You're listening to Parasearch Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm your host, Paul Rook, and as always, we are joined by the lovely Kerry Greenaway. Hello, Kerry.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Oh, I'm not too bad. Yeah, all good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, not bad at all.
Good. Good. Have you been up to much paranormal stuff or spiritual-wise this week?
Yeah, I had a client at the weekend. We had a good old chinwag, caught up with each other. Talking about, universal energy and all that sort of stuff that was going on at the time. And that was really interesting. And got in my crystal room, which I haven't done for a little while. Yeah, it's been good.
Have you recharged all your crystals now? Because I've blocked them all.
Yeah, the master blocker has not been around for a while and they're all fine. Now's the time to come and get them.
Quick, someone get there first.
The amount of work I have to do after he's left everybody, you just don't realise this, right?
I just know it. Oh dear. So yeah, no, all good. I know I'm going to be helping Neil in a couple of weeks. Help sort out his downstairs part of the HAPRC. So I'm looking forward to that.
The expansion.
Yeah, that's it. And then I think it's ready just before the Haunted Live guys are going in on the 10th.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're going to be the first people to investigate it. And then the night after, I'm going in.
Uh-oh, everybody. Uh-oh. We know what happened to you last time. You were there, but then you've been back. You have been back since then, and you didn't have the same experience. So that's kind of good.
No, when I do go there, I always start. I don't know, just feeling a bit yucky when I go in the first 20 minutes or so. But after that, I feel absolutely fine. So I don't know whether it's something affecting me in any way. I don't know. It's odd. It doesn't always happen, but it's happened about 3 or 4 times, and I've been up there loads. So.
And you was up there Saturday, and you had some interesting things happen, didn't you?
Yeah, we used the Ouija board up there in the seance room, and the planchette that came with the board wasn't really working. So I suggested about grabbing one of the artefacts that were in one of the other rooms and using that as a planchette. So we found a shot glass type thing. I don't know, it's like a little vase type thing. I don't know. It was. Yeah, but we used that, and we got some really good responses from that, and it started working really well.
Cool.
So I'm going to be doing that from now on when I go up there, using the artifact as a planchette, because obviously you've got the energy attached to that as well, so maybe that helps.
I still want to work with an Akondi doll that's up there. I'm still really drawn to that.
Yeah, he's still there. He's hanging around.
Yeah.
Making his way. Yeah.
I definitely need to get up there. I keep saying it, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you've got to go and do it. Do one of his 12-hour lockdowns, or lock-ins, or whatever.
I'll lock me in and see what I can come up with. Maybe I'll do a crystal evening up there for people. Maybe introduce them to a few concepts of crystals and crystal work.
I suggested, like, in my capacity as the St John Ambulance guy, I would do a mental health awareness session, because he wants to do like a series of talks up there. So I said, yeah, I'd be up for doing that. Just a session on mental health and maybe some of the warning signs that you could look for when you go in as an investigator.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Sort of give it to the paranormal world. So yeah, I thought I'd do that. I know I'm not a qualified psychiatrist or anything like that, but as St John, we have to recognise mental health issues, just as much as frontline ambulance crews. So we get the same training in that respect.
Yeah.
So it's just about passing that on. So yeah, I offered to do that. So that's going to be in the pipeline.
Brilliant. That sounds like a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I might even do a blog on it or two.
You never know. And actually, if you buy the book of Parasearch, you'll find all sorts of blogs in there about very similar types of topics. Anything to do with the paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, mythology, all sorts of wonderful things. Even history is in that book. Go over to amazon.co.uk or amazon.com and it is ships worldwide. Nice little advert right there.
Yep, I like how that sort of led in there. That was quite a good link. That well done.
I like that
one. Anyway, let's go on with tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is the secret societies, and I know you covered the Illuminati with the Dark Mirror, so I'm going to start picking your brains with the Illuminati.
Oh, God, don't, because Mark went down the alien route, obviously, on that one. So I didn't really get to the bomb. I have to say, coming off the back of that show, I was just like, this is just like a rich gentleman's playground kind of thing, you know, like it's a playground for the rich. And it was just like boys' clubs. Do you know what I mean? It's like an adult scout club type thing. I just didn't actually think that... yes, I think they exist. I'm not sitting there saying they don't exist, but in the capacity that people read into them, I don't think they have that much power, as it were. Not to the extent that we were talking about on that show. I don't believe it's like a New World Order or Third World Order or whatever called the Illuminati. Call me naive, personal opinion. I don't think so. I think the world's in too much of a state. If someone was running it, they've got a lot to answer for. But, you know...
I mean, it depends on how secret you want your secret society to be. I mean, we all know about, like, the Freemasons, for example, but they're still secretive about some of the things that they do. So is that classed as a... Okay?
Well, it is a bit of one of those terms, isn't it? Secret society. We all know about it, but it is actually what happens within the club that is more the secret thing, you know, like the secret handshakes and the secret rituals that they do. And their initiations into different levels are kept quite secret, I suppose you'd call them. Although even in this day and age, I don't think it's that secret. You know, there's information out there. But I don't know. I just think, boys' clubs.
Yeah. I mean, I did look at the Illuminati in part of the research, and I mean, I don't know exactly how true it is, but apparently it was supposed to be formed in 1776, and it originated in Germany. Was it? I don't know. I always thought it was Italian.
I thought it was just Europe. I didn't think it was down to one thing. This is where the problem is, isn't it? It's... the origins of these clubs, you know, again, you could link it to other clubs and, you know, they change names, they evolve over the time, and it gives like a blanket term of, it's the Illuminati. You know, how much of this is real? How much of this is just heresy? Not heresy, that's a different topic completely. Hearsay was the word I was searching for in my brain cell there. You know, I mean, do we know this for definite? I mean, there was a lot of information about the supposed activities, the supposed members, the supposed theories out there of things they've been involved in. It smacks of conspiracy theory to me, the Illuminati in particular, because everything seemed to get linked back to the Illuminati, even things like moonwalking and the moon landing and stuff. So I don't know is the answer to the question. I don't know how viable the information is on these things. I mean, was it Germany? Was it Italy? Was it Europe in general? Where, you know, what was it?
I think it is quite European. I mean, it does say in the research that the most famous conspiracy theory surrounding it was the group was broken up by German authorities after the French Revolution. But most common theorists assert the group has survived and now operates a sinister shadow government, directing the world in industry and politics as it sees fit. But the Illuminati broke away from the Freemasons and literally just sort of sat sort of dormant in the shadows. But, you know, there is no actual evidence to say that the Illuminati still exist. But that sort of adds to the mysterious ways, you know, the mysteriousness of them all.
So mysterious. And how bad a job are they actually doing? Let's be honest with you. If they're running, you know, like you said, like the world theatre of politics and industry, they're not doing a very good job, everybody. I'm just going to put that out there.
They've ballsed it up so far, haven't they, really? What's happened the last, like, over 10 years? Didn't do a very good job there, did they?
Not doing a very good job, so they need to up their game, really, is what I feel. Too mysterious, I think, this one. Too out there. Too much conspiracy theory. Too much is put on the back of the Illuminati for me to go, there's relevance here. I could be incredibly naive in my perspective on that, and I don't know. But it is something that pops up time and time again. You know, when you do research topics, it's like you'll find an Illuminati link in there. Or if you do a Google search, the amount of information that's out there for them to be hidden in plain sight. Maybe. I don't know. The Freemasons, on the other hand, we do know do exist. You know, we know that. So the fact that they broke away from the Freemasons, possibly for a time, whether they've got as much power as people give them credit for, I don't know. What do I know? No,
exactly. No, I totally agree with that. And according to the research earlier that I've done, the Freemasons have been going since 1717. It doesn't actually specify who founded it, but it just says that the 4 English lodges founded the Freemasons, and they were based in London.
See, with the Freemasons, I think I don't know, but I would imagine that initially it was set up by people like business owners who could help each other out.
Yeah.
And so various little areas had their own sort of like lodge of people that was able to help us. So they started to branch out to other areas, and it became a bigger thing. A bit like we used to hold. Well, I used to work in pubs years and years ago, and then on one of the nights, there was a club that used to come in that was very similar to the Freemasons, but it wasn't the Freemasons. It was like the poor man's Freemasons. And they had the same sort of thing. You know, they wore the kilts, they had their own ceremonies, they had a private room. No one was allowed in. It was sealed doors when they were in there, whatever it was they were doing. But when you talk to them afterwards about it, because it was all, you can imagine some of the clientele in the pub were like taking the mickey. They were like, yeah, but it's a way of encouraging each other. It's almost like a business networking kind of scenario. So I might need a job doing, or I've heard of a job that needs doing, and I can go, oh, so-and-so, here's a heads up. And because you know each other and you're all part of this club, there's credibility and integrity in it, rather than just any old tradesman you're going to refer. Because you're part of this club, then when who you're referring to holds a credibility. It's a trust thing. You know they're not going to screw you over, because if they did, they've got to answer to the whole, you know, the whole clan, as it were, rather than just screwing over one person. So it becomes an integral part of business relations. And this, for me, when I was reading about the Freemasons, this is what it seemed like to me. And I don't know how it started anyway, to me. I don't know whether that struck you as that.
Well, again, on the website that I looked at, it said that it was set up to teach self-knowledge through participation and progression of ceremonies.
It's very ritual. It's almost a cult, isn't it? It's almost like...
Well, when I read through it, because they were talking about secret handshakes and things like that, and to me, it wouldn't surprise me if Lord Robert Baden-Powell was a member of the Freemasons.
Who's he?
Because it does... He's the guy that started the Scout Association.
Oh, okay.
Because it's very reminiscent of that, because they have their own secret handshakes that not many people are taught these days. and they obviously got their own ceremonies, and there's ways of going about doing certain things, and it's very reminiscent of that.
So within rituals, within even something like you said, you're talking about the comparables between like the Freemasons and an organisation like the Scouts. There are rituals that increase bonds between people. Yeah,
I mean, Scouts they do. I mean, once you're in the Scout Association, they are one big family. So most Scouts will shake hands with the left hand rather than the right, like most people.
Yeah.
And in time, I know in particular in Germany, there was a Scout population there, and when the war started, Hitler disbanded the Scouts over there because he see it as a private army, and he didn't want that against him, so he disbanded that, and that sort of pushed it underground. So then the Scouts come up with these secret handshakes, so Scouts knew who other Scouts were.
Oh, wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, there you go. See, so
learn something new every day.
That's what I meant. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of that, and I mean, I learned that because when I left the Scout Association, like the modern day version, I actually went and started learning about the traditional scouting that's just come back to this country, really. It's more international scouting. And it goes back to pre-1970s or whatever, when it split from the Scout Association. But they have all the old uniform and everything, do everything very traditional and very strict.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the discipline within these groups is not a bad thing, because, like I say, you're creating bonds amongst each other. So yes, there are levels you have to work through, and I do think sometimes they name them so it sounds more esoterical than perhaps it might be.
Yeah.
But if you have to go through that form of initiation or those levels of learning to get to the next level, then knowledge is power, isn't it? Knowledge is, we always say this, knowledge is power. And if that's tied into a belief system, then it becomes an incredibly powerful thing. I think you only have to look at the church to realise how strong and powerful a belief system can be. But this is what it reminds me of. I think, again, there's a lot of mysticism, isn't there? There's, when you look at bizarre rituals and handshakes, secret handshakes and stuff like that, it seems very... It's bad. Not bad. It's mysterious. It's mystical. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But it could be just something very simple to highlight who each other is, and within that there is a hierarchy of knowledge and learning, improving yourself and dedication to the group, and showing that you are a dedicated, loyal member. So yeah, you aren't going to just take somebody to a group like this and just take their word for it. They would have to prove themselves. So
a lot of these secret societies were stemmed from the Bible and religion, because they do take certain aspects. I mean, even like, for example, the Knights Templar. Obviously, that's heavy religious. Then you got like the Order of St. John. I know it's not a secret society, but they were still sometimes acting in secrecy. And they do. The Illuminati had some sort of religious background as well, with sort of like the symbols and ceremonies and stuff. And also, you got the Vatican as well. How secretive is that?
That's incredibly secretive. But I do think sometimes that secrets are necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. Just sort of like among members.
Yeah, I do think that. I do believe that sometimes secrets are necessary for, particularly within these kind of groups. I don't think it should be a free-for-all. As Richard has put into the chat room, he said initiation levels will also show commitment to the organisation, your willingness to progress. That's exactly what I was trying to get out there. And if anybody could join, then where's the integrity and credibility of that group then? Do you know what I mean? Because it's just open to everybody. But, I mean, you were talking about the Knights Templar. Now, this is a topic that's actually quite close to your heart, isn't it? You are very interested in the Knights Templar. And again, it comes up time and time again in research.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you don't like it, but I mean,
you're going to mention Oak Island.
How did you know?
I just had this really weird feeling.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Knights Templar stuff. You know, even if it is just rumour, it's still associated with that island.
But again, like I said to you before, a Knights Templar, how many times have we done a research for a topic and it's come up time and time again? The Knights Templar come into that. So you can understand almost why the church wanted to derail it, because they were very powerful in their time. And if the church derailed it and they wanted to continue, it would have driven them underground, a bit like the Scout situation that you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were basically set up to protect the pilgrim routes, weren't they? Mm. For when people come down to Jerusalem and whatever to practice the Christianity stuff. And, you know, it almost sort of progressed from there. I mean, they literally held... It was almost like the first bank as well.
Yeah, do you remember talking to Norman Fahey? Or Fahey. Yeah. Fahey, actually, isn't it? I always say it's Norman Fahey, but it's Fahey. About that. So, money is power.
Absolutely. And it was just seen by the King of France, wasn't it, that they just got too powerful. And he didn't like that. So he ordered on, I think it was like Friday the 13th, that they were all to be captured and executed or whatever. And a lot of the knights just, you know, hitched up and off they went. And again, that's sort of where the whole rumours start coming in about where all their Knights Templar treasures hidden and everything. Be nice to find, but I don't think anyone will. You know.
Who knows on that one? Is there a modern Knights Templar?
There is. You can actually still join them. So it's not. I mean, it's more again like the Freemasons. You know, they've got their initiation services and stuff. But I think you can literally just apply to join. If they accept you, then obviously you know you can be a Knights Templar. But it's not anything like what it used to be. You know, you don't get to ride around on horses in the white top with a red cross. And
damn it.
Chase the Knights of Ni and all that sort of thing. No.
How fun would it be, though? Not too secret, though. I think it might give it away in this day and age.
It might do, but, you know, there is... they do claim that... Well, apparently there's no compelling evidence that they ever possessed the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail or the blood of Jesus Christ that so many people claim they've got.
I think that came through from Dan Brown.
No, I think it comes from somewhere else, but yeah, because apparently it was kept in Solomon's temple or something, and that was like their stronghold.
That's in Jerusalem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't they find a hidden room in there, a vault?
Very possibly. I don't know. But, I mean, it's possible.
I mean, I've got tickling of my brain cells on that one. I'm sure I read somewhere there was a hidden vault, and that's where it all started. If I could be wrong, I could have read that in a work of fiction. Yeah.
At the end of the day, they were the first bank. So they're bound to have a vault of gold somewhere.
Well, you would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Or even if it ain't gold, it's got to be like precious gemstones, and you'd have a field day in that one.
God, yeah, I could do with that right now, is all I'm saying.
That's all your crystal collection.
It's not worth that much money. I wish it was. But, I mean, even when we looked at the Chateau de Rennes,
yeah,
the Knights Templar popped up with that, didn't it? And
but
like I say, you know, we the modern day version of this, I would imagine, is ideas from the medieval Knights Templar that they've brought forward. I would imagine. I see it very similar to the Masons, like the Freemasons. I see it very similar to that. But I don't think they hold much power. I'd not really heard of them, to be fair. So, sorry if any Masonic Templars are listening. But I'd not really realised that it was still a thing.
Yeah. I mean, because I'd done that blog on the Knights of St. John. Yeah. In the history that I discovered for that, it said like the Knights Templar were a rival group to the Knights of St. John, and when the Templars were disbanded, they were ordered to give all their treasure over to the Knights of St. John. And I think some of the Templars were like, yeah, on your bike.
Well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so, yeah, the Templars, they do get everywhere. It's a really fascinating history they've got.
I do agree.
They're even up in Scotland as well. They've got a strong connection up there.
Yeah. The church, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Rose... Oh, I can't remember what the church is called.
No, I can't remember, but when they were disbanded, they done a runner, basically, and ended up in Scotland. Then they left Scotland for, well, the rumours is Canada, but they could have hit any shore around there, really. Mm. So, yeah.
But like you say, if they're riding around on, with their tabards with the Red Cross, the distinctive Red Cross on it, it's not particularly secret.
No, that's true. But yeah, it's just fascinating. The Knights, the Knights of Templar. Mm. Yeah,
I have to say, yeah, like I said, it's one that the name pops up time and time again when we do research for various topics, and it is a fascinating area to look into. But again, full of conspiracy theories, not real knowledge. People may be adding 2 and 2 and making 5, because we don't know. We've got no definitive proof, but it does make a good story, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and the Templars do cross over with so many other different other societies. Like, for example, the Zion one. That's another one that I'm just sort of trawling through the depths of my brain. I'm sure they had links to Zion, the treasures of Zion, at least. I'm not too sure, to be fair, but I'm sure they did.
I think in the book, Dan Brown's book linked the Priory of Zion quite closely to the Knights Templar, but I do believe it was a hoax.
I'm sure it was the Russian document called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion that was debunked.
Was it?
Yeah.
So again, we get a misinformation thing, don't we? One person says it's a hoax, another person says they've got a document to prove it. There is a history of a Priory of Zion.
Because I know with Zion, it's connected obviously to the Jews, isn't it? And the Knights of St. John, in like the treasures that they were supposed to have, they've got quite a lot of gold Jewish artifacts. Mm. So again, whether or not it was just a case of the Knights Templar were like the bankers for all these cults at the time, yeah, or like the mafia compared to the rest, and they had fingers in all sorts of pies.
Or it was an actual hoax, and people have jumped on the bandwagon and tried to find facts to fit the fiction.
Well, that's a possibility, but we are talking about secret societies, so it could just be a secret society that no one knew about.
Well, this is true. It could be. Who knew, right?
Exactly. And even Adolf Hitler was a fan of the the Elders of Zion. And, you know, he was heavily influenced in religious artefacts as well, wasn't he?
Oh, allegedly so. That's a topic we're going to be looking at in greater depth in the future. But as I say, I thought it was more recent than that. I have to say, I thought it was all a bit... Yeah, I don't know about that one. But people believe it. Is it a real thing? Is it not? Who knows, right?
Yeah, and I'm sort of guessing that you don't believe in these like secret societies.
I do think, like, with the Knights Templar, well documented, you know, their history is there for everybody to read and stuff. So, yes, I do believe in certain ones. There are others where I'm like, nah, it's just conspiracy theory upon conspiracy theory and twisted in modern times to make it a more conspiracy theory. And then people believe it, and then they look for facts to fit the fiction and stuff like that. And I do have trouble with some of them. Others, I think, you know, are relevant. I think they are out there, but how much power and influence they have on the political and industrial landscape, I would say, although I'm not saying they're not like some of them aren't not powerful, but whether they could pull the strings, as it were, type thing, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, could it just be that they manipulate people? Because, I mean, in some of these cults, well, not cults, secret societies, you had people like George Bush in them. So it only takes someone to try and influence him to make a political change. So
yeah.
It's a fact about manipulation and manipulating people.
I mean, there was a Netflix series called The Family, which deals with this kind of thing. It's a religious organisation and that people join. And again, it's very... they say that that's very powerful in its own right. Presidents go for the breakfast and stuff like that. The lid has been flipped on that, as it were. Before that, nobody had really heard of them. Very religious based. But, see, I always, much as I'm very critical of some religious practices, the moral stories and moral standings that religion has for societies is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So if you've got a group of people that can help each other with a good moral standing, committed and loyal to each other and are proven, have got integrity and credibility, I don't actually see that that's a bad thing. It depends on how it's used. But with power always comes corruption. So I am wary of secret societies. I'm wary of people who haven't got transparency, like... Scientology is another one. I know that's sort of slightly different, but that's very secret in its dealings, isn't it? We know it's there. We know it's out there. Famous people have subscribed to it and come out and say that's what they are. That's their choice. I won't ever say don't do it because that's your personal choice. But there is that sinister side, isn't it? I think that's what comes through. There's always a sinister side.
See, I mean, that's put down as a religion, isn't it? Scientology. And no, I think you're quite right there, because I would see it personally as a cult, because as you said, it's got the religious undertones, but it's secretive. Where on the other hand, the likes of Christianity and Islam and everything, it's all out there for you to see. If you want to learn more about that religion, you can. You know, there's so many sources out there that you can learn about. So it's quite open, and they want to get their word up. But with a cult, it's like they're very selective, and it's almost like they're picking the naive people and the gullible.
And yet attract incredibly wealthy and influential people into their midst.
Yeah.
So are we likening some of these secret societies to cults? Would you class the Freemasons as a cult?
To me, yeah, it is in a way, isn't it? but the Freemasons, they still do a lot of good in the community as well. So although they are a secret organisation, you know about them because obviously you know that they exist. But the stuff they get to do in their, lodges or whatever you call them, you're not privy to that unless you're a member. Mm. But they still go out into the community and they raise money and they hold their own. I actually know someone in the Freemasons. Actually, I know 3 people in it, and they hold charity events, and because obviously they're all businessmen and like the top businessmen as well. They raise so much money, and then they decide where they're going to send it, what charities are going to send it to. So it is a cult of a kind, but they still do really good things in the community. So yeah, I think that's one of the better ones.
I think when we've been looking at this, there are some that have got, like you said, a sinister undertones to them, and you've got others that just seem, they might have a mystical undertone to them, but they haven't got the sinister undertone that goes along with it. So there does seem to be a difference between particular. I mean, I personally wouldn't have said that the Knights Templar had a sinister undertone to them.
No, because again, it was a religious order and the information was out there. It wasn't that secret.
True.
I mean, what about the Magic Circle? That's a sort of secret society, isn't it?
I am assuming you're talking about the magician's secret.
Yeah.
The secret. Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yep. Just checking.
The Magic Circle.
The Magic Circle isn't that where magicians share their secrets of how they do tricks?
Yep.
But you're not allowed to talk about that outside because obviously,
Exactly. It's a secret society.
It ruins the illusion of the trick if everybody knows how to do it. And part of the theatre of being a magician is that wow factor, isn't it? Of how did they do that kind of thing. And there is a code, if you join the Magic Circle, I believe there is a code you have to adhere to, which is basically don't tell people how you do the tricks kind of thing. But yeah.
And that hasn't got the sinister undertones.
No, it hasn't, has it? It's got the fun undertone.
Exactly, the fun element. So, I think it just depends on what.
Although, if you actually think about that, a magician's job is to deceive, isn't it? So it really should have an undertone of sinistercism. Is that the right word? Really, shouldn't it? Because its job is to deceive. So, oh dear.
Oh, but you've never thought of that one, have you?
No, the things that occur to me whilst we're chatting on air.
But I think it's just how they're perceived. I think is the key. With the Knights Templar again, that they were, the information was out there to what they did. Where the Illuminati was so closed off, no one knew anything about it until you had the Illuminati banging on your door. Well, not the Illuminati. What's the other ones? The interrogators, the Italian ones. What are they called? I don't know. I can't remember. They were like monks that went around in big hoods and just interrogated you again and just accused you of worshipping the devil and things like that.
The Inquisitors?
The Inquisitors, that's the one.
Is that the one you're thinking of there?
Spanish, Spanish even. Yeah, Spanish Inquisitors.
Right. Where's he going with that? Yeah, I mean, there are so many different ones. I mean, when we had a look at this, we was looking at one the other night, weren't we? And we was like, never heard any of these. They're that secret, we hadn't even heard of them. But then you have got others that are a lot more out there, aren't there? that we knew about. I mean, one that surprised me was the Skull and Bones.
Yeah, they were formed in 1832 by Frederick Ellsworth Mather, Phineas Timothy Miller, and William Harrington Russell.
Oh, now there's a name. Harrington Russell, come over here.
There was Alfonso Taft and George Ingersoll Wood.
Now, they are all, you can tell, they're all wealthy names, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it was set up in Yale University in a building called The Tomb.
Yeah, it's got to be brilliant. What should we call this room? We'll call it The Tomb.
Yeah, absolutely. And the secret society was formed after a dispute between several debating societies in Yale. And, so the famous alleged members, John Kerry, George Bush, William Taft, whoever he is. I've not heard of that one. But they've been the conspiracies surrounding them. They've been accused of all sorts of stuff, from like nuclear bombs to the Kennedy assassination.
Well, they've done quite well, because actually, of all the ones we looked at, I'd not heard of the Skull and Bones. So for a secret society, they're actually doing really well, because I hadn't heard of them. All the others I'd heard of in some capacity or other. Do you know what I mean? But this one I hadn't heard of at all. So if they're part of these massive conspiracy theories, and they can't get much bigger than the Kennedy assassination, I'd not heard of the involvement there of the Skull and Bones. So that's interesting to know.
Yeah, just maybe they haven't just reached Canva yet.
Maybe. But
I'm sure.
If this came out of, obviously a university, Yale University, lots of clever people, debating societies are quite a big thing, aren't they, in those kind of environments? And they're a melting pot for ideas, and being able to hone your skill at cross-argument, politics, straightforward, right there.
I think, in particularly the US, they're very big on their societies and things like that. You see it in all like the teen movies and
the
things where they're
sororities and stuff like that.
Yeah, where they've got sorority houses and Gamma, Kappa, whatever, and all that. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like inbred into them right from the young age that it's good to be part of a group, almost like a family out of your family sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, stick together, the bonds are there, you're all brothers, you're all equal sort of thing. And, there's a lot of those groups as well that have their own traditions, like their own initiation services and things like that. So it's almost like a way of life.
Yeah, it does seem definitely more an American thing, I would say. So, and actually looking at it from that perspective, that's a good perspective to look at, that when they go to universities, you're right, they join a sorority club, don't they? And they live in the house, and they're all like-minded people living in the house. Over here,
you're more likely to just join the chess club or the science club or something.
Yeah, we don't sort of have that, do we, in the UK?
No.
But then our education system structure is set up differently to America's, and a lot of kids who are going on to the further education in America will be boarding, whereas in the UK we don't have that so much. So that could be something that's born out of geographical location to make you feel less homesick and more inclusive rather than excluded. Do you know what I'm saying? It could be more to do with that.
See, I don't know what university, because our universities are almost like the Americans' colleges, where people go away to college and board, as you said. So is it the same sort of thing in our universities?
You can
Do they
board.
have their own?
Yeah, you can board at UK universities, but you only get the first year. After that, you then have to move out and find your own place, basically. So you get like a year's grace to settle in. But I don't think
So we don't have those sort of university
houses
sort of thing.
No, we don't. We have like boarding rooms, because if you think about ASAP, you do a like a weekend course or a convention, and they basically have it at Bath University, and you can hire one of the rooms out, one of the boarding rooms there, and it's basically the rooms where the students sleep, where they've moved out for the summer. So the influx of students have moved out of their room. They're not allowed to like leave all their stuff there for the holidays, because when they come back, the next lot of students go in. So it's like every year it's a rolling turnover. So that's more what we have in the UK. It's like a year's grace, effectively, to get you on your feet. Whereas in America, I think I could be wrong on this. I think once you're in your house, I think that's it for your term, like whilst you're there. I could be wrong on that, I don't know. But you are right, it is more of a family orientated setup. That house becomes your family, rather than just a room with a couple of people in it. It does feel more like that.
I'm wondering if, like, some of these American societies, the secret ones, sort of use those houses to pick the best people out of them.
Well, there was a rumour, wasn't there, that the CIA used to cherry pick out of the Skull and Bones Club, but I think the CIA actually released a document that said, no, that's not what we do.
No, we don't. But
it would be a good breeding ground, particularly the Skull and Bones, if it's come out of a debating society. And like I said, if you look at the nature of a debate, it's a cross argument, isn't it? It's like one person has one perspective, and you argue in a very intellectual way various points of the subject matter on hand. So if you're a politician, that's a really incredibly useful skill. So it wouldn't surprise me if I'm not saying they cherry pick, but people have gone into the CIA following on from that experience. So I'm not saying that the CIA are recruiting from that, but that it's like a natural progression into that next career move, or into the political forum. It wouldn't surprise me because of the way the society is set up.
Yeah, I wonder if the Skull and Bones as well has sort of a religious undertone to that as well, because the Skull and Bones could be referring to the pirates' skull and crossbones. And I know that is symbolic of St. John the Baptist. Because, again, the pirates, especially the Caribbean ones, they were another offshoot of the Knights Templar.
Ooh-ah.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, that's it. And then the skull and crossbones represents John the Baptist because he was beheaded, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, I'm learning all sorts of things tonight, everybody. This is great.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It was King Herod that wanted his head. So, yeah, they had his head cut off and delivered to the king.
Ooh.
You need to read the Bible. It's so much fun.
I do. I really do. I did say this the other day after watching Messiah, that I really needed to read it properly, because it is a book I've not actually sat down. I couldn't get past the begot and the begets. So-and-so beget so-and-so and so-and-so beget. I wanted to get into the juicy stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, ran out of steam before I even got that far.
I've got a couple of copies of it indoors. I'll lend you a copy.
Let me read a friendly copy.
Well, yeah.
Oh dear.
I'll see what I've got.
See, there is another side to societies or secret societies, which goes more into the mysticism. We talked about mysticism roots earlier on in some of these societies, but there's been a few others as well that have got their roots firmly in the occult. I mean, I'm thinking of the Rosicrucians. You looked into that as well, didn't you?
Yep, and let me find them. Yep, 1954 they were around. Oh no, okay, right, going back. Founded in the early 15th century by Christian Rosenkrauts. The Rosatians were reported to be using occult practices to bring about global transformation. 2 centuries later, the publication of 3 manifestos launched into the popular consciousness. They believed that discerning conspiracy theorists to have found the Freemasons and the Illuminati and the Invisible College, which I don't know nothing about.
It's invisible.
Yeah, that's it. And they've been guiding force behind every significant revolution in modern history.
Ooh.
Yeah, so, but yeah, as like in 1954, the world's most influential movers and shakers met in a hotel to discuss the plan of the coming year as a global agenda, and yeah, that's sort of where that comes from, really.
One of the things that struck me there was you said something about about gaining knowledge. It's that knowledge of self, isn't it? And isn't it a concept that we were talking about, or it feels very similar to changing the environment to an ideology, but it comes from deep within, which it sounds very similar to something we were talking about with Andy Mercer, or I was talking with Andy Mercer about the other week. So it's almost like alchemy is not changing lead into gold. It's about changing yourself, or recognising yourself and the changes you can make within yourself to make a change.
Yeah, and it was almost like they wanted a bit of attention because they claimed they started the Freemasons and Illuminati.
Maybe they were like around before then, and it feels very offshooty because of the mystical undertones that the others seem to have, or maybe they're completely unconnected, but history sort of merged it a bit, murkied the waters.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't got much time left, but out of all the secret societies, the one I would love to go and visit their vaults would be the Vatican.
Yeah.
Imagine the secrets they've got in there. That'd be absolutely amazing to look at.
I think it might be a case of where do you start? I think there'd be a hell of a lot of boring stuff in there. You'd need to sort of know what you wanted to find.
I think what I'd do, as you walk in, I'd start on the left and go all the way down that left, and then all the way back the other side. That's where I'd start.
You'd be down there for, years, I think. Years and years and years. It would be interesting to know some of the information that they've got. I bet they've got a lot of books down there that are not available anymore. You know.
I bet they've got a lot that's available on Kindle as well.
I wonder if they've got the book of Parasearch. Mm-hmm.
Not yet.
Maybe we should send it to them.
Yes, I think we should.
Yeah, I mean, it does make me wonder what is in the vaults. They are very secretive about what is held in the vaults, and they're very selective about who they allow in, like academics and researchers going in.
Yeah.
They're very, very particular about who goes in to the vaults. I know that much. I'm with you. I'd love to go and have a nosy down there and see what they've got down there. I imagine it to be a dusty old cellar with a load of books not organised, but I'm sure it's not like that at all. I'm sure it's very, very high tech.
Just think of how many blogs we could write from all the information they've got there.
Oh, it'd just be awesome, wouldn't it?
It would, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it just? Well, anyway, we have come to the end of the show. We've got 4 minutes left just to run through what's coming up in the following week. So, Kerry, all down to you now.
Right, okay. On Wednesday evening, tomorrow evening, you've got Haunted Histories kicking off at 9 p.m. She is talking to Rosie and Stuart from Simply Ghost Nights, all about Mill Street Barracks. Fascinating place, that one. And she loves a bit of World War, doesn't she, as we found out last night. Yeah, she's got her teeth right into that subject, bless her. That was on the liberation of Auschwitz. If you didn't catch that show, please go over and check it out. Penny did an awesome job on the research on that one, and even ended up in tears at one point, which she cracked, bless her. I think we both did at various points. Then on so that's tomorrow is the Mill Street Barracks a lighter topic
Yep.
for her. Then on Thursday evening, PSH Radio, the guys have got Claire Barrand in the studio. She's an author. She's a great researcher, Sage Paracon speaker for last year. So it'd be good to hear all about Claire. Then Friday evening on the Dark Mirror Show, we're talking about the case of the Greenbrier ghost. Now, this is a case where a ghost actually was allowed, I say allowed, it was given by another person, of evidence in court, and it actually changed the direction of the court case. Fascinating one, this one. It was really interesting reading about that one. Carl Hutchinson on Saturday, his Q&A on the Parasearch Radio Facebook group page at 7 p.m. Questions and answers. Anything you want to ask my lovely Carl about the paranormal, obviously. He will be over there, so you can ask him.
Fantastic. And what's coming up on the show next week, or have you not got that far yet?
We're talking about concepts next week. We're actually going into a different ball game. We're talking about the appeal of locations. Yeah. What makes a location particularly appealing to the ghost hunting community? How are some got to be done's and some, what floats your boat? So the appeal of locations next week on the Paranormal Concept Show.
Yeah, so definitely get all your mates to listen into that one, because we want some participation in the chat room. Because there's going to be like 3-4. Oh, no, excellent. No, that's good. But next week we want to know more, because we want to know what floats your boat when it comes to locations. Yeah, and we're going to be discussing it all live. So, yeah, bring everyone in the paranormal with you. And, we'll go through them all. So it's going to be a good show next week. Looking forward to it. So that's it from me tonight. So I just want to thank everyone in the chat room for joining us. Pleasure as always, and we hope to see you all next week. So it's a good night from Kerry.
Good night.
And it's a good night from me.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.